The introduction to solving trig equations, and we're going to focus on problems that where you just have to undo and use the zero product property. So here are some strategies that we'll look at later. A lot of times you want to either collect like terms, solve by undoing, factoring with the quadratic type, or rewrite as a single trig function, like maybe convert everything to all sines or all cosines. So we're going to refer to our unit circle a lot. You may want to have that on your desk just to make things a little easier, faster. I also do have them on my PDF. So here's our example. We want to solve this equation for x. And we're going to just focus on the first quadrant from 0 to 90 degrees. So we say, what is the sine of x equal to 1/2? So we learned in our class that we can take the inverse of this and we'll get an answer. Now, you can do this with your calculator, so I want you to go ahead and check that first. See if you know how to plug this in to your calculator. The sine inverse of 1/2. We're going to do it in degree mode. And then if you want to try it again in radian mode, you can do that also. So just go ahead and push the sine inverse of 1/2. And what angle do you get? All right, now let's do it without a calculator and see if you get the same answer as what I do without a calculator. So we're going into this first quadrant, and we want to find out what angle is it if we have the sine of 1/2. So if you remember, cosine is your x of your ordered pair, and sine is your y of your ordered pair. So we go into our first quadrant, and we see this 1/2 right here. This is our sine, so the angle is 30 degrees. So with your calculator, did you get 30 degrees? Now we're just doing the first quadrant for this first video set. Now let's go on and do this for the angle in radians. So here's your 1/2. Your angle is pi over 6. So if you want it in radian measure, or x equals pi over 6 radians. So you can get both answers in degrees or radians. All right. Let's go on to a second example. Now this one's a little bit different because you can't just go ahead and go straight to the unit circle. You can't just go straight to throw it in your calculator. You have to solve this equation by undoing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add 2 to both sides. So you're left with 2 cosine of x equals 2. Then you want to undo the 2 on the left. So you're going to divide both sides by 2. And you're left with the cosine of x equaling 1. So now we're going to kind of just push away from trying to use that calculator and refer to our unit circle. And we're going to focus again on that first quadrant. So we're looking at the cosine now, the x. Where do you find a value of 1 for x? It's right here. So our angle is 0 degrees, or in radians, it is 0 radians. So x equals 0 degrees or 0 radians. All right, let's do another example. We want to solve this equation for x. What could x be? And what we have are 2 pieces, and we're going to use the zero product property. We're going to set this factor equal to 0. So we have 2 sine of x minus 1 equals 0. Then we're going to set this factor equal to 0. Cosine of x equals 0. And now we are going to solve them separately. So I'm going to start with the green one. I'm going to undo. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I'm saying the sine of x equals 1/2. So now I'm going to go over to my unit circle, and I'm going to find out, just the first quadrant for this video, where is the sine of x 1/2? So we're looking at the y value. There's your sine, so it is 30 degrees. Or, if you remember, what is the angle in radians for 30 degrees? Right there, pi over 6. This is one of the reasons why we asked you to know your unit circle, because we're coming back to it again and again, especially in this lesson. All right, let's go on to the blue equation. The cosine of x equals what? Or equals 0. So when do I get the cosine, the x value, to be 0? Right here at 90 degrees or pi over 2. So x equals 90 degrees or pi over 2. We're using what we call inverse trig. So there are two answers. All right, now we're going to move on to tangent. Tangent, if you remember, is not on the unit circle. You have to do a little bit of manipulating with your cosine and your sine. So there is an identity that we learned, and we'll write it off to the side. The tangent of x equals the sine of x over the cosine of x. So we're going to say the y value over the x value. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this equation and see if we get a number that is on the unit circle. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. So we get 3. Tangent of x equals 7. And then the tangent of x, divide both sides by 3. And we get the tangent of x equals 7/3. Well, tangent of x equals 7/3. You cannot go around this unit circle here, these ordered pairs, and find a value for sine over cosine that would be 7/3. So now let's go and take out our calculators. Let's have it in degree mode. And we're going to say x equals tangent inverse of 7/3. So again, make sure you have the appropriate mode. And then we'll do it again for radians. And we get x to be approximately 66.8 degrees. So that's in our first quadrant here. Now let's convert it to radian measure. So we'll convert it to radian mode in our calculator. So we say x equals the tangent inverse of 7/3. So change your calculator to radians. So second tangent, 7 divided by 3. And you get x is approximately 1.16 radians. So again, if you think of this, pi over 2 is 3.14 divided by 2, which is approximately 1.7. So our angle, is about in there.